In this video, I'm going to walk through a few tips for using OpenSCAD. I highly recommend grabbing the latest version by heading over to openscad.org and going to the Downloads page. Take note that the current public release is from 2021, which is quite old. I recommend navigating to the Development Snapshots section and grabbing the latest dev build. This will have the latest features, but since it's a development build, it can sometimes be unstable. Just be aware of that. If you end up with a build that has issues, you might need to switch to a different version. Okay, now that the latest OpenSCAD is loaded, let's clean up the interface by closing everything except for the editor, the preview, and the console. I'm also going to go to View and select the option to Show Axes. Now under the OpenSCAD Preferences, I'm going to jump over to the Advanced tab, and under the 3D Rendering section, I'm going to change the backend option to Manifold. This significantly speeds up the preview rendering. In future videos, I'll go into more detail about how to draw various shapes, but for now, I want to demonstrate modifier characters that are super helpful when writing OpenSCAD code. To start this off, I'm going to draw a simple cube, and I'm also going to center that. Now I'll draw a sphere with a radius that will make it bigger than the cube. Don't worry about how fast I'm going through coding these shapes. I want to focus on debugging, and we will go through the details about the different shape APIs in future videos. So now we have a solid sphere that has a cube in the center of it that we can no longer see. In a situation like this, you can use the background modifier by prefixing your code with a % character. Now that I've applied that to the sphere, it renders in a slightly transparent mode where we can see the cube that's inside. Let's say I want to hide everything else except for the cube so that I can work on it without being distracted by other objects. I can use the root modifier by prefixing the cube with an exclamation point character. This essentially tells OpenSCAD to treat this location as the root node for the code tree to be rendered. If you want to just hide a specific subtree, you can use the disable modifier by prefixing your code with the star character to instruct OpenSCAD not to render it. Sometimes this can be faster to do than to comment out big blocks of code. Both the root modifier and the disable modifier had the same effect in this example, but they just accomplished this in different ways. We can look at this more deeply in future videos. I just wanted to make you aware that these exist. To demonstrate this next modifier, I'm going to adjust things a bit by using the translate function to move the cube so that we can see both objects at the same time. If I prefix the cube with the hash character, it turns it red in the preview so that it can be easily locatable. This is really useful when you're dealing with several objects or when using an object to subtract from another object, where the object being subtracted isn't normally rendered. Every time I change the code in this example, I hit Command S on my Mac, or Control S on Windows to save the file. This automatically updated the preview. The preview optimizes for render speed, so you aren't sitting around waiting all the time. When you're ready to render a fully accurate model, you can click on the render button that's next to the preview button. Now with a fully rendered model, you can export it to a common format like STL. Here's what our model looks like when loaded into a slicer app for 3D printing. Not bad, right? Okay, so before we wrap this up, I want to show off the customizer feature in the OpenSCAD interface. Let's create a variable at the top of the file for the cube size. And now if we go to Window Customizer, it pops up a view that has an entry for each top-level variable that exists in your code. From here, you can change the values of these variables without altering the original values in your code. This can be useful for tweaking values quickly or creating different variants of a model. Alright, well I hope you found this useful. As I add more videos to this OpenSCAD series, I'll put links to them in the description below. Subscribe and hit that bell icon if you want to get notified when I post a new one. Alright, well I'll catch you in the next one.